Welcome to Aging with 8-Bit, where we talk growing up games and how they've evolved over the years. I'm your host, Colin.
And I am Tyler, and I'm excited because we're trying out a new lens for the show today. We're on the Viltrox 13mm 1.4. Will it improve the quality of the show? Probably not, but
we'll take it.
Until we get a B-cam, this is as good as it's going to get.
Absolutely, and I'll take it. He can have he tells me all these specs, and I have no idea what's going on, but I trust him in our
You shouldn't
editing endeavors.
But it's good. So before, I guess when this video is coming out, this episode's coming out, we'll have the day before released, we'll have a new review on another shop, a local shop out here in DFW in Carrollton.
Yeah.
Which is wasn't an actual game store, it's an antique store.
Interesting.
That had a little gaming section in the back.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I was not expecting what I was walking into in there, because they had a whole bunch of heat. I'm talking N64, like with the boxes.
Sealed?
I think some of them were sealed. It's so hard to tell.
Yeah.
With
they were behind the glass case.
Yeah, looking through cases, but some of them look sealed. A bunch of classic NESs, like Castlevania, the Swamp Thing, like just Darkwing Duck. They had that one there. They had the Carnage Spider-Man game, just a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't want to say it, we've hit up every game shop in DFW, but we've been going to quite a few lately. And it was just surprising to see this at an antique store, that there was all these they had Battletoads.
Yeah, that was, when you told me over the phone, I was like,
and
somebody there at that shop knows what's going on.
Yeah. And it wasn't sealed, but the box looked like a 9 condition. Okay. If we were going to rate some cards, it'd be like a 9+ maybe.
Wow.
It was just, I was just so taken aback, because you just don't see that kind of stuff in your everyday, like going to Target or Walmart,
right?
Costco, whatever you do. So it was really weird, and I'm not on top of the like vintage gaming market prices, if they're up or down or whatever they're doing, but this stuff was expensive.
No, I believe it. And that's why I was like, when you had called me and I was like, how much is it? And you were like, oh, it's a pretty penny. Because I was, me, I would have easily driven over there and picked it up. And so, it's just, I'm a collector at heart, so I want all that, stuff to kind of like build my collection. But it's interesting. And when you told me, I was like, I think you were telling me like a retro game store. That was one of my first things. You're like, no, it's in the back of a like a antique store in the corner.
Yeah, all the way in the back. Just if you went there just out of the blue, you might not even find it, because it was a big shop.
Oh, really?
In the first place, yeah.
Is this the one that's over there by Babe's? Is it that antique store?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's technically labeled as an antique mall.
Yeah.
And that sums up the size pretty good. It's a huge place. So just going there on your own, you might not even find it, because you would get distracted going all these other rooms and stuff. And, but from my understanding, if you look up a hipster's paradise on Google, it'll take you to the same antique place. The antique shop is called The Finishing Touch. And there's an attachment to it, technically, called a hipster's touch, or a hipster's paradise. Sorry.
Gotcha.
And apparently these people rent out these booths in the corner of this antique store and sell their merchandise there. It's kind of how it works. It's not owned by the antique shop, I believe. Okay. It's just they're renting out the space to another company, and the company has their own website and everything.
And they kind of draw on the business to the place.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's interesting.
But so the weirdest one that I saw, not weird, but just took me off guard, was Pokemon Coliseum, the 3rd gen.
What?
Yeah, for the GameCube.
Right.
It's $180.
What?
Yes. And underneath it, it had Mario Baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
$75.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's not even like what it was retail.
Right. Right. And then they had some Sega CDs there, some old, we're talking old games.
Yeah.
$400.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. I didn't believe it, and I was there. I was like, I didn't know this stuff was going like that. I mean, I know we talk about old games and stuff all the time, but I don't go out and buy them. I mean, I want to. I want to reestablish my old collection that I sold away when I was a kid.
Yeah, trading in your 400 CDs for one new game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was because what I did basically is growing up, because I had the Xbox starting. Well, I had the Nintendo 64, and then the PS2 and the Xbox. Like
Right.
I would get those for Christmas.
Gotcha.
But when that stopped, when I got older, I was like, okay, I want to get the 360 and I want to get the PS3. How am I going to do that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, GameStop, you can just take all your stuff up there and you get some credit, trade it in, and they'll take it off the price of a new system. So I'd do that.
Yeah.
Trade in my whole collection of PS2, Xbox, everything.
We're all guilty. I mean, I think there's a large group of this like whole community that's guilty of that. And like now we're like kicking ourselves because we've got people in the corner selling things for $400 and eventually like I think Xbox and PlayStation stuff will get there to that price. Obviously it'll be like our Sega, if you will. There'll be a time when we're talking to kids and they're like, PlayStation, no joysticks, and I'm like, no, like, and it was everything you ever wanted. It was a side scroller, and you literally would spend hours playing it just to try to get to the end of the game, and then hope you didn't beat it on a family vacation because then you were going to be stuck having to replay
Yeah. Yeah. And so we'd go to GameStop, go get your 200 credits or whatever, trading in your entire collection that you've had since you were a kid.
Yeah.
And you got a 360 and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You have the 360 and a controller, maybe get a game.
And or like when I remember like when the 360 came out, they had those 3 games that were already like pre-downloaded or they came on a CD and you were hoping that one of them was at least decent. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
The 360 had this one game and I'll never forget it. It was she was like a huntress. It was like Korra or something like that. And maybe I'm getting The Last Airbender mixed in with this. But anyways, she could like turn into like a plant creature thing. She could turn into like this ice creature. But it was one of those 3. It was a CD that had 3 games on it, I think, if I'm not wrong. And I played out of that until it was probably November, December. And then my library got updated by all my family members for like a Thanksgiving or a birthday or whatever. And then I collected all the games for my Xbox and I was, off on the road or my PlayStation. One of the two for sure.
Oh, I don't remember the demo you're talking about. I'm
almost certain. Let me see real quick. But I mean, it was one of those things where I loved playing that game and it got me through until I was ready to or I say ready. I didn't have a job, so people were able to fund me.
Yeah.
And I'm wrong. The name of it pulled up The Legend of Korra, so I think I'm mixing like The Last Airbender and some other things, but I didn't know there was an Xbox 360 game. Wow. The Legend of Korra. Anyways, I'll have to look it up later, and we can link it in at the bottom of the video so they know what I'm talking about. But
it won't be clickable, but
there you go.
You just copy it.
There you go.
Yeah, and another surprising thing was they had a Mario Kart with the box, Nintendo 64. It's $225.
Yep.
Right?
I fully believe that one. Not believe that one, but there's like, it's the new, not the new, but like, there's a reason there's Mario Kart 8. You know what I mean? When the Switch came out, like, the want is always going to be there, but I can remember like flat. Do you ever remember like Mario Kart, like flat track? Like you could see the whole track as you were playing it on the 64.
When you say flat track, the only thing I can think of is Rainbow Road. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you're even.
Well, used to, it's like, or I say used to, but like the older ones. I'm talking about like Mario Kart 1 and 2, like super old. No offense to anybody. I was playing this when I was a kid, so I'm dating myself. But when you were like racing, right? You could see all the drivers were all like 3D-ish, but the track was like flat. Like if you were like on an F1 track, you could see the whole layout of the track, but you just had to drive on. You like weren't to it yet. And then like the later ones added in like trees and buildings and stuff that would block your view so that as you were racing, you were going around that track. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It was like it was weird because like sometimes when you'd get hit with the shell or something, you would look 2D almost when you spun in some like angles.
Yep.
And the fences, you remember the fences or like the barriers?
Yeah.
They were 2D.
Yes.
Like they were paper thin in a 3D space. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like there'd be a cave that you could go through, but the fences are pencil thin. Yeah. And it wasn't until you slightly turn to the side, you're like, oh, it has a texture.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I can't go that way. Or you're like, and I was like, what's going on? And then when you hit that right angle, you're like, oh, it's a fence.
Yeah, there's a fence because when you're going, it's a thin line that you can't, it doesn't look like anything. But when you slightly turn, like, oh, we got some detail in here now. It's a barbed wire fence. Yeah. I didn't know that. But yeah, no, Mario Kart for me, I always had to pick Toad. I felt like Toad was the fastest. I don't know why. Maybe because he was the smallest. Yeah. But I was like, he's definitely the fastest.
I always picked Yoshi because I always had a hard time trying to get Yoshi in the Super NES games. Mm-hmm. Like you could get him, but it was like hard to like keep him, if that made sense. Like they made it difficult as you're like trying to go through the levels. I feel like the level got harder and like got a plus 50 on enemy difficulty when you were riding Yoshi, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I would always drive with Yoshi just because that was the one game that nobody could take Yoshi away from me if I got hit with a shell or something.
Yeah. And this is something I always wanted to look up. I never have, but I wanted to see if anyone ever figured out if there is a speed difference between the characters, you know, because all the like speed runners and stuff, they go in and like run their own tests, their like scripts and figure out what's going on in the back door, like coding. I want to know if any of them actually be like, okay, technically Mario is the fastest by 0.4% or something.
Oh yeah, that's.
I'm sure somebody's had to done it by now, but
you know, I didn't even think about that, but I'm almost 100% certain somebody has literally sat there and did that calculation.
Yeah.
Well, and the big thing is when just talking about it, they have to, or like when I think about it, because when you think about 8, they started adding in those calculate, like people already do those calculations with Mario Kart 8. And like this combination with this guy or this player with this guy with this cart with these wheels.
Between the motorcycle and the like boat or the ATV looking things. Yeah, okay. I mean, I can see that with the different vehicles.
Yeah.
But just back then, like way back then in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
I was like, were they even thinking about stats? Or are they like, it's Mario, we're gonna make Mario the fastest? Yeah. But in my mind, Toad felt the fastest on the track, even if he wasn't by any measure.
It would be interesting to see if they actually, and you know, hopefully, if you're a coder, I say a coder, or like a game developer, and you would ever want to be interviewed by us, the smaller side of podcasting, but it would be interesting to see if they like took actual like weights, like their weight calculations, if you will. Like they made a rough estimate and then they put that into the coding. That would be cool.
That would be cool, but I feel like Bowser would have just been a chunk tank, and you could feel Bowser. I never did. Like he felt okay. He felt normal. Yeah. I'm just saying when I got on like Bowser, Yoshi, Mario, everyone, they all felt normal to me. When I hopped on Toad, he's the fastest.
Speedrunner.
Yeah, no doubt. But I don't know if that's true. I feel like we'd have to do a lot of research beforehand to do interview an actual like software programmer, or a game developer, because the only questions I could come up off the rip would be like, you know, middle school type questions like, do you like your job?
Yeah.
How do you do C++? I took one programming course in community college, and I failed, so I'm qualified to ask you questions.
Yeah. I guess that is fair.
Yeah. So they had all these crazy games at this store, going back to the Finishing Touch.
Yeah.
And they also had an Xbox 360 Rock Band guitar.
Shout out.
That was the only thing that I could see was market price. It was $75, which I think is what it originally cost, around that.
Yeah.
But all this other stuff in the cases, I was like, I feel like some of this is overpriced, but I honestly don't know.
Did you talk to anybody? Like, I wonder if they're like willing to will and deal.
Well, the owners of the store that were there, like I said, I don't think they have anything to do with that section. They
Gotcha.
So any of the actual sellers for the game section of Hipster's Paradise weren't there. We were just running around.
Wow.
Like doing whatever we wanted.
Well, that's wild. I wonder if anyways.
But. Yeah, I ended up buying because they also had like action figures and comics there.
Absolutely.
I ended up buying a vintage 1999 C-3PO from season 1. You know, when he's all the wires exposed with a Comtech chip. You remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have the device and you'd put the little chip on and it would say a voice line.
Yeah.
From not the actual movie, they were voice actors.
Right.
Doing like imitations of the lines from the movie. And I thought that was cool, so I got that. And then we ended up finding the actual Comtech reader device.
No way.
The little platform.
Yeah.
With the other programmable buttons.
Yeah.
That would have like a blaster shot and a lightsaber noise. Took that home. I was like, oh, I can't wait. Opened it up because I was like, I'm just going to toss in a battery. Yeah, it takes a 9-volt battery, which stuff doesn't really take 9-volt batteries anymore. It's pretty crazy. And when I opened it, it had a battery inside of it.
But it was like rusted out. I mean,
it was at least 15 years old.
Yeah.
Took it out. I was like, I don't know if this is a good sign. Probably not. It's usually not good when you leave batteries in old electronics. And put in a fresh battery. I clicked every button on that thing. Nothing. Could not bring it back to life. I want to open it up and go just try to see if I can fix it at some point, but
man, I can't remember. There's like a household mixture that you can make with like typical cleaning supplies you have at home that will clean off those terminal or the battery terminals to where basically the device isn't picking up because those ends are so corroded that there's no electrical coming in.
Signal going through. Well, I mean, the terminals look fine. That's why I was really optimistic. I was like, this thing's going to work. So there's got to be something loose on the inside, or just because it's 24 years old.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, come on, when you were done playing with something, you didn't just be like, all right, and just place it down. You just threw it.
Yeah.
And it was over with, you know? And so it's probably stuff like that, yeah.
But, so that didn't work. That crushed me.
But they had a lot of action figures and stuff there?
They had a lot of Star Wars, a little bit of X-Men, a little bit of Marvel, and then some older, like, I wouldn't call them action figures or really collectibles. They're more like cheaper, just like kids' toys. A whole bunch of VHS tapes. And then your regular PS2, Xbox, old Sega, old Atari. They pretty much had everything you could think of as an older game. You just had to find it.
Yeah.
There's so much in this little space. Like, it would take you all day to look for a certain.
You had
for something.
It was like stacked to the roof, basically.
Oh yeah, they, because like the comics that they had in there, I want to say it was 3 rows. Yeah. I don't know if I'm saying this right.
Yeah.
It was 3 boxes stacked, I want to say like 5 or 6 high.
Oh, 3 columns.
So there was 30 boxes of comics, and they probably had 200 to 300 of comics in each one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just stuffed in this little space with a bunch of other games. So, I mean, it's a cool spot to go to. Yeah. And I recommend going if you got some extra jingle in your pocket.
Yeah. Did they just basically tell you, just dig through it and we'll figure it out later, or what?
No, everything's priced. Everything's got a price on it.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's no one, that's what I'm saying, there's no one to haggle with. So I don't know if you're going to get like a good deal.
Gotcha.
Like you might be overpaying, or you might not. I have no clue.
Gotcha.
Because you went to because yesterday when I was doing that, you were at a card shop out here, right?
Yeah, I went to 2 different card shops, and just I'm actually wanting to get back into Magic and like playing Magic, and I've always like Madness has always been the one place to go to, right? For me, like it was the Mecca in a way, but like respectful of the word, right? It was the place to go. It was huge, plenty of play space, and all this other stuff to be able to like play Magic and or other collectible games. And so I was like, surely there's got to be stuff around me that I can go to. So I went to this once. It literally is like in the middle of all of these warehouses, and it's called Play Ball Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little door. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like it looks like it's literally going to be a small hole in the wall, right? Open the door, and it's like an old 70s, 80s club that this couple have like bought out.
Nice.
And it's lined with like sports memorabilia, cards. They had a Pokemon section. Didn't see any Magic, but I didn't look really hard just because there was so much stuff. Like it's like floor to ceiling stuff and just go through. So I like walk in and I get met by the people like immediately. Boom. And they're just like, hey, how you been? Anything we can help you with? And I was like, no, I'm just kind of looking around. And literally, like, basically, like, I got, like, a mini tour of the store. Like, hey, this is where this is. This is where this is. If you have any questions. And what I liked about it is they had tax wrapped into the price already. So, like, it's $39. You're paying $39 or whatever, right?
That's always nice. It's a rare thing here.
Yeah, and I know it's, like, obvious, right? Like, taxes, you have to do that or whatever. But it felt like, and I was talking to you about, I probably talked with you about this shop for like 10, 15 minutes straight because, and I'll say this, you guys are doing an amazing job at that card shop because I felt like I'm still young in the hobby of like just collecting cards in general, and playing trading card games. But it was like everybody was knowledgeable, everybody talked to me, and then this card shop actually gave me the suggestion to go to the card house on the other side of Arlington to look for Pokemon cards. And we'll talk about the card house in a second, but Play Ball Sports is literally like, they're going to get my money today. Like, I'm going to go see some family and I'm going to give them some football cards to rip open.
It's called Play Ball Sports?
It's Play Ball Sports and Collectibles.
So I'm assuming the majority of their card sales are
athletics.
Sports.
Yeah, sports.
So that would be a place for me not to look at because.
But I will say that the crew that are there was like, one is a major Magic collector, but he dabbles in ripping football cards for the money to sustain his other hobby, which is playing Magic, which was a great segue, and we got some great connections there for potential of some other stuff for the podcast. But then they had like slabs open of like all different types of cards, but he said, if you really want to get Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, you need to go to the card house. And I was like, all right, cool. Which is like 10 minutes from my house. They're both 10 minutes from my house in opposite directions. I've never been there a day in my life. And I've always been driving an hour to Madness. I go in a card house, and it's literally the size probably of this living room, like super small, right? They had elite trainer boxes from Lost Origins all the way through to the new stuff, market value. So I'm not getting gouged there. And then I moved over to another section, and it was, excuse me, they had Japanese Pokemon cards, super hard to find, and they had just just booster box prices, and I got kind of worried. And then I was like, hey, he was like, yeah, I'll just pack them out, whatever you want. Like,
was it sealed and you just opened it?
Yep.
Oh my God.
He just cut it, pulled out how many packs I wanted. Here's the crazy thing. Rips a brand new V-Star Universe pack, which is like one of the rarer ones in Japan right now, or the newer ones, but it has some rare cards in it. And he like rips it, okay, turns it around and is like, pick your packs, however many you want. Pick them for anywhere you want. Put them together, boom, all right, check me out.
Have you ripped them open yet?
I did. I got an Unknown Secrets VMAX, which isn't like, I mean, it's $1.50, I get that, but it's like, as far as like a collector piece, I'm going to probably get it graded. Like, it just looks sweet, and that's the part of the cards, and like doing this whole card journey is like, there's things that I'm like, people are like, oh, I'm not going to buy this, but I was like, this is an amazing piece to like have on your wall.
Yeah.
Or to have a slab of or whatever. I thought that was really cool. And it was 2 places that are really close to my house that both have like, and that's what I was going to say about the card house. So I walked in and the gentleman, and his name escapes me. But he walked in, he goes, hey, what brings you in? Stuff like that. And I was like, oh, Play Ball Sports sent me over here because I'm looking for Pokemon cards, some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and so on. And he literally like, hey man, what's up? Like daps me up and was like, welcome in, and like the most welcome you've ever felt at a business before. Yeah. And it's just like he basically talked me into getting some One Piece Gear 5 cards that I wasn't even going to get, but he was like, dude, you got to look at these cards that are coming out of this pack, like a $1,500 or $1,700 card that's been, found or whatever. And so it was like, it felt good to be that part of it and like finding these hidden gems that are really close to my house. And so I talked with one, like Play Ball Sports would love us to come in, and obviously talk, but it is big sports there. But the card house was awesome.
Got any Mark McGuire's? The only guy I know. Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I have like nothing against going to a majority like sports card place to just go check it out. I'll learn something because I don't know much. I know Magic, a little bit of Pokemon, and some Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than that, so it broadened the horizons. And I mean, I watch football, so it's not.
Well, and that was the thing. It was like, I was telling him, I was like, I know nothing. Like this wall that you have this much of, I know nothing.
Nothing as far as the market.
Right. Yeah. But this little end cap that you have, like full of Elite Trainer boxes. I was like, well, we can talk about this all day. And we kind of connected there, and we started talking about Magic and everything else. And so I think it's the hobby, and it's like playing the game of like Magic or playing Pokemon is like brings people together. So that was kind of cool to kind of see that, be a part of that and be able to connect. And we were talking about old packs, and it was funny is like when we were talking about getting rid of old games, we had talked about getting rid of like older cards. Mm-hmm. And if we would have known now what we know or known then what we know now, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, it hurts my soul whenever I think about it. But I mean, I would love to go there and do like a little promo. Yeah, because honestly, we'll go anywhere. Yeah, that'll let us do a promo. You could own a pool supply business. Yeah, we'll be there. That's there's games that do pools, whatever. No, so I'm excited to go check that place out. Yeah. Whenever I get back from my trip, my 2-week work trip that I'm not excited to go on. But so I'm going down to Houston, and I want to see. I don't remember where we got our Airbnb at. It's outside of like Clute or something, which I've never heard of that part of Houston before. I'm curious to check out to see if they have any like hidden gems in that place. So I'm definitely going to go do that on my spare time. But when I come back, like going to some of these card shops and playing some Two-Headed Giant or
I think whatever we can. We are going to be able to do SCG next weekend. Yeah? Yeah, it's next weekend. We will be doing our first ever Two-Headed Giant.
Next weekend?
Yes.
I won't be here.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'll be back on like Halloween.
That's right. Yeah. But anyways,
for our Halloween special,
we will be playing Two-Headed Giant. We could get some people involved, have some people in, maybe do a bigger.
Do here?
Yeah, I'll collect the boosters. I'll figure out all the rules on how to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do we have friends? I don't know.
I think we do have friends. Okay. We have enough.
I wasn't sure. I haven't heard from them in a while. Yeah. No. So that'll be fun, and then where else are we gonna go? Like, so, like, I want to do Madness. Like, if they were cool with this, like, promoting theirs, but it's so big that'll take
Hours.
all day to film in there, and then trying to figure out what should we focus on, because they have like so much stuff. But it is a cool place. I mean, even figure just going up there and playing some matches against some other, because there's always someone up there playing Magic or just everything, 40K, D&D.
Yeah, we've thought about doing like basically like a Friday night Magic like episode where we're just, getting into the game and playing and trying to figure it out and stuff like that. So stuff that we find fun. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was I'm going back to the antique shop
no, you're good.
real quick. I had a brain lapse when I was there. So I saw this game, Starfield just came out.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this. It's an old, Atari game, I believe. It's either an old Genesis game or it's Atari. But it's called Starflight.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was called Starflight.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, yeah, Starflight just came out. From Bethesda. I was like, had such a brain lapse. I was like, yeah, it's Starflight, not Starfield. I was like, I'm gonna buy this and like come bring it on the show and like show off the original Starflight, the good one.
Yeah, when
but
Starfield
it's called
is the
Starfield.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that. I was like, I can't believe, like, I spent probably 30 minutes filming this one game to try to get the perfect shots.
That's I'm 100% like that's the way I think now too.
Yeah, and then when I finished, I went to go get one of the employees so I could go get out the case and go buy it. And I looked at it one more time and I was like, it's not called Starflight, it's Starfield. you dunce.
That's funny.
Yeah. Speaking of Starfield, have you had a chance to play it yet?
I have not. It's crazy. Like, so my gaming group that for like Call of Duty and some other ones that I play with on Discord, I got on last night because I finally got the beta. And they were like all hopped in Discord. Like, they saw me get on Discord and they all hopped in. And they were like, are we going to get on the Call of Duty beta because it's open just this weekend? Mm-hmm. And I was like, sure. So I have not played Starfield since it crashed my computer because I have another buddy that I work with that plays Starfield, and literally the amount of hours that he's had to dedicate to it for it to be an enriching experience, I do not have time. So I think I'm probably going to be one of the lucky ones to get some DLC and play it this summer.
Yeah.
When I'm off work.
Yeah.
So.
So you played the new Call of Duty though?
Yes.
That's what you're playing last night?
So I played the beta for Modern Warfare 3, and like I was telling you earlier, before we started the podcast, so they literally have all of the old maps from either NW2 or NW3, and I can't remember which one it is, but I'm going to tell you, Favela was on there, Rust, High Rise, and we played until...
High Rise is the one on top of the skyscraper, right?
Skyscraper with the cranes
That's
hanging.
M2 for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Well, then it's NW3 for this series, but they're copying over a lot of MW2 maps. If not, I think they're introducing like 3 or 4 new maps. That's it.
But Favela sounds like an
no,
M1.
Favela was like, yeah, I'm almost certain it was M2 because I can remember that blue scape if you're going down the right side of the map, you know how it goes down and there's all the cars parked up on the road, and then you're like you can shoot down on people because you're up on top of the hill or whatever. Well, anyways, we played on Favela last night, and I realized, like, first game, and this was funny to tell you this, talking trash as a teenager on MW2 way, way, way back when has finally caught up to me because we were playing, it's called Cutthroat, so it's 3 versus 3 versus 3. Mm-hmm. But if you get killed, then you're done for that round. So your teammates have to basically either revive you or survive and win the round, right?
It's like Apex kind of
in
smaller.
A way, in a way, but it's 3 teams of 3 fighting against each other trying to win, right?
Yeah.
So I get taken out. So we're playing on Favela, and my group is literally have 2 left hands. They're like, which way do we go? Left or right? Left or right? We go down into this courtyard, and I keep telling them, I was like, this was a pinch. Way back when, this was a pinch. And I say it a second time. There's a team that comes over on top of the buildings, shoots down on us. And there's a team that comes down the backside left, which is like you're coming through the mud. And basically we just got trapped and we all got taken out, killed. This kid gets on the mic and he goes, this is so embarrassing. He goes, you're probably this is probably some 30-year-old talking about me or whoever. I'll take it. You're probably some 30-year-old that says Call of Duty is my way to escape from my life, my real life responsibilities. And then it like cuts off the mic because they let you talk trash like to the other team for like 10 seconds or whatever. And then it cuts off.
Oh, damn.
And I said,
in the lobby or in game?
In game.
Oh, my God.
And I said, that hurts.
Yeah.
But it was like,
because it's true.
Your mom was like, it's true. But it was funny, like, to hear that, to see. And he had to be, like, obviously way younger. And then it's the normal, like, oh, you're trash or whatever. And then my group, we started to, like, oh, we know this map in and out, right? Because the map hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's just the play style and the guns. And so once we started to get cooking, we were able to win some cutthroats. So it was really fun. But I just thought that moment of that kid talking trash, I was like, my life has come full circle.
To his credit, though, that's pretty light for trash talking to go. That's pretty, he had the heat cranked up to like maybe 2.
Yeah.
Like, at least it wasn't a 10. Like he didn't fully lay into y'all. So at least he had some kind of respect.
True.
So it's called Modern Warfare 3. Is it just remastered or?
No, this is Modern Warfare 3. So this is their new Modern Warfare series, but it's like, it's like a reboot, if you will. Yeah, I know. They get us every time.
Because they have a 3 already.
Yes.
Right? Like years ago.
Yes.
And then, all right. So they're putting out another Modern
This is
Warfare
the new,
3.
3. So like, this is what I was saying, when they do like a reboot of a movie series like Spider-Man, and then they come out with Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 for that movie series.
Yeah.
It's a different storyline, whatever. This one, it kind of gets convoluted because it's a little confusing because it is Modern Warfare 3, but characters from the original Modern Warfare series just telling a new story. You with me?
Sure.
Okay.
I didn't even know Call of Duty had a story.
It does.
Like, I know in the first, granted, I only played the first Modern Warfare and then the 2.
Yeah.
Way back in 2008.
Yeah.
I know those had like a story if you played. I thought they gave up on that. It's just like, here, all online.
Well,
nothing.
Well,
no
they
story
did.
mode.
They did for a little bit. Like the story kind of got like lackluster. It was like a spaghetti western, if you will. Like same plot. Do this, take out this guy, whatever. We started playing the raid, and the raids really picked up the story. So the raids, I've talked about it on our podcast before, but if you have no earthly idea what a raid is on Call of Duty, I will roughly try to explain this to you. But you drop in with a team of 3, and you have basically a story to tell, or not a story to tell, but you have to work through a story. You have to solve puzzles, take out enemies, and try to get to the end of the level. And so the beginning of the episode, if you will, of the raid starts with a video, right? And it tells you like so much where the story is at this point. And it stops, and then you drop into the raid, and you'll either have like so many enemies coming at you, waves that you have to take out, and then you'll go to another room and you have to solve like a group puzzle. All 3 of you have to work together to solve this puzzle to move to the next room, so on and so forth, right? And then at the end, you'll have an ending to that video, right? That leads you into the next raid to get you ready to go, right? That was some of the best storytelling. Because my whole group agreed, like we felt like we were a part of the story, if that makes sense. Like you are doing things that the player or the character would have done if you weren't playing as them. And so with that, we were like working through the raids. They've axed the raids to bring back the story just because there's so much love in it. And if I think I'm right. But the big thing that I'm looking forward to is they're bringing back Outbreak. It's basically zombies back in Modern Warfare 3. And that was my whole thing.
Did they stopped doing zombies? I'm so oblivious in anything Call of Duty. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so I
thought they kept zombies going.
So
it was like
2 years ago, they had zombies. The Modern Warfare one did. But basically, you dropped in, and you were at this like hub of like all this cursed energy or whatever, and that's where all the rounds would start. And then you'd play so much, and then a portal would open. You'd run into the portal. And then you go to another place and so on and so forth. It was like the worst zombie experience ever. to give you an idea, the Pack-a-Punch machine was in the middle of this place. There was no work that you had to do. You just had to get enough kills to put a gun in a Pack-a-Punch.
Okay.
So,
right. Because which one was it that started zombies? Was it Black Ops? Was that
started
the original?
World at War.
World at War
was the first zombie because
Yeah.
you finish the story and then there's a zombie outbreak and then you die. You wake up in the first round of zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they kept that going because it's such an easy money grab. Like, here,
Yeah.
just do zombies for
Well, and I don't
rounds.
remember which one it was and I think it was Black Ops 2 or 3 that had Outbreak in it. So imagine like Warzone, but instead of players, now I think some of them had I can't remember, but had players in it. But then you would just survive, like you would do whatever you want, right? It would tell you like go to this main location on this huge map, and you need to take out this boss creature, whatever, right? Or you can go over here and do a side mission, and basically you can activate a dragon. All these zombies would come at you, and you could take them out and then feed the dragon, then get an upgraded weapon, so on. I know there's a lot there.
Yeah, you said dragon.
Yeah,
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But now they're bringing basically Outbreak back, but in the Warzone setting. And this is what I'm excited about. So you drop in as a team of 3 or 4, one of those, 3 or 4. And there's 16 different teams, and you're trying to work to the center, but it's PvE. Yes, PvE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. See, this feels like the same. When I go back and watch, like a couple of days ago, this random Minecraft video popped up about making some ultra crazy sword or like bow, one of the two. And I was like, oh, I have like no clue what's going on in Minecraft. I hadn't played it since high school.
Right.
So let me just peek my head in for a second, check it out, see what's going on in Minecraft lately.
Blew your brain.
No clue what's going on.
Yep.
People are making crazy stuff, like the craziest automated machines. Like they're building computers inside, and then
Have you seen the one of it's in Minecraft in creative? Go ahead. Finish your story, and then I'll tell you.
They're doing all these like crazy raids, like these huge boss battles, where they're having to spend months prepping.
Yep.
And stockpiling materials to go and down into these dungeons, or I don't know what they are. This underworld.
It's from the cave update, and it's called the Warden. It's the newest and hardest boss. I tell you what it is. It's a giant man newt thing. It looks like a newt, if you know what a newt is.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen Harry Potter, but their definition of newt was pretty.
Yeah.
It's not that great.
No, so like it basically is it looks like a lizard, but with the tendrils that come out, it can breathe in water.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it is, but it can walk upside down. One hit takes you down to all the way down to a half heart. Doesn't matter what kind of armor you have on. Yep. We're doing that. You say stockpiling, and I tell you about my realm adventures all the time. We are stockpiling materials right now, and we've been playing for 3 months. And we're nowhere near ready, and it's just 2 of us, which, I mean, sucks, but yeah.
Yeah, so my point is I have no freaking idea what's going on in Minecraft. Call of Duty especially.
Yeah.
And I did not expect these games to go off in this direction of all these crazy, because I remember Call of Duty eventually had like, they weren't jetpacks, but they had little like booster
that was
jumps.
Advanced Warfare, yep.
Yeah, and they're doing like these crazy slides and all this other stuff. I was like,
boost slides, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I'm so out of the loop that I have no clue. And it makes me not even want to jump back into it unless they go all the way back and it's just like you got your gun, your grenade.
I will tell you.
You get a couple little bonuses.
I will tell you that when I played MW3, that's what it felt like. It was slowed down. It was time to kill was fun. You know what I mean? It made it competitive. Now, it's the beta, so there's going to be some guns that aren't, balanced because they had to rush out the product. The product doesn't come out till November. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's a month. Yeah, that's a month. You know how many people they have on this team of, like, coding and editing and looking through just player feedback and all this. Like
Who owns Call of Duty now?
Blizzard.
It's Blizzard. Oh God. Oh, speaking of that, I didn't want to talk about it on this podcast yet.
Yeah.
But I forgot I was leaving.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bobby Kotick, the current CEO, is leaving at the end of the year. Yeah, at least that's what I saw on an article yesterday.
Oh, wow.
That excites. Well, I mean, I don't know what, I don't know what any vision or if he had any input into the direction of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
But if there's any kind of change up as big as that, I'd figured it would shift positions up or sideways, like people in the company. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens to World of Warcraft after he leaves, if there's any improvement or if it goes down the drain or like what's going to happen with that. Yeah. But like I said, him being the CEO, I doubt he had any actual input on what was going into WoW.
Yeah.
But I mean, with him leaving, maybe some positions open up, people get shifted around, they shake things up, see if we go back to a true magical experience and not what we're doing currently. I mean, I don't hate World of Warcraft right now. It's just they're getting so far up in the cosmic realms. It's the same issue I have with Dragon Ball Z. You power scale so much, it gets to a point where none of it feels like
genuine.
Not really genuine. It just feels like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, cause
okay. I know exactly. Yeah. Like we were on the same wavelength.
Yeah. What's the point? Because either in the next expansion or the next, or even just patch now, there's a bigger bad coming. This is the real bad. That first bad had really nothing to do with it. He was just an appetizer. This is the guy. This was bad.
Doink. Like, yeah.
And it just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and they're about to start bending reality now, which is it's just weird. I mean, no, I'm not saying I'm up to date. I'm just saying where Shadowlands left off into Dragonflight, when you're starting getting into like the god level creator, I made your world type of beings, that's when you're getting too crazy and you need to tone it back down. And they toned it back a little bit for Dragonflight.
Yeah.
They need, for me, they need to take it back all the way to the village. You got a village, a volcano. Oh, there's a castle over there. And that's got a, there's a guy in there. He's kind of an asshole, and he needs to be taken. He's a necromancer. Ooh, we haven't seen that before. Yeah. He needs to go.
Gotcha.
So, and it's like a dungeon or whatever.
And I've noticed in a lot of like world building games though too, it's like when they're doing that, it's like to take, like we've gotten so high, let's eradicate all the way back to the village, the volcano.
I would love that.
And I mean, it does happen, and then they give you a rhyme and a reason of why they have done it. And it basically resets your player base. It lets everybody that doesn't. Bad writing. True, that too. But it just lets everybody that hasn't played, right? And they're like, oh, I'm too far behind. I'm not even going to jump in. They're on their what expansion? Then they're like, hey, this is a brand new experience. You know what I mean?
Many. Yeah. If you want to go by patches, don't even try to count the WoW patches. But right. Just for I'm using WoW, but there's other games that fall into this category. But once you start getting into that God realm, you need to start toning it way back.
Yeah.
And that might just be because I'm getting older, but
yeah,
I feel like what made WoW special, made it magical.
Yeah.
All that is gone. It's just all, it's just, I feel like you need to go back to the old. You got your one world. You don't have all these other realms you're jumping around to and other planets. You got your one space. You don't fly. Flying doesn't exist to you anymore. You cannot fly. You gotta mount, and it's slow, and it sucks. But that's the point, because we got hammers.
It's faster. It's faster than walking.
Yeah,
but it's slower than flying.
Faster than walking. But it sucks.
Yeah.
But that's the point. You're punished for playing this game because you want the experience of being an adventurer, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you're not teleporting nowhere. They should take away the Hearthstone, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You don't just get to go back home. You gotta travel back.
Yep.
So
I like
Yeah, and I'm not like a hardcore enthusiast. Like,
Well, I'm a hardcore Minecraft guy, and guess what? That's what they do.
yeah,
You die, they will take you. If you don't have a bed down, they will take you back to your original spawn. And if you have like months in like we do, I could not tell you what direction I need to go into to find the base that we have built.
yeah,
And so literally, like my buddy right now that plays with me on the realm is lost and has been lost for 3 days because I can't play.
yeah,
And so he's like, I need you to get on and make a map so I know how to get back to you. And I was like, I'll get on if I can.
yeah. And like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, and I mean, I like the hardcore mindset, but
Yeah.
I'm like, for the general population,
Yeah.
not everyone's gonna like that. But I think they need to do it, like, just strip it all the way back as far as you possibly can, and just Azeroth's done. It's that planet's doomed. Just throw it away and just go to another planet. But that's it. You only get the one. Don't mess this one up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we screwed up the N'Zoth storyline so bad, because that's a damn shame.
Well, I think that's like they're trying to go. I've read some articles, whether it's, a valid source or not, but I have read several different articles that have said that, their Blizzard is looking to go in the direction of a new WoW, like our WoW 2, if you will, because everybody's trying to beat it, if that makes sense. Like all the other companies are trying to come up with the WoW killer. And to end that conversation is just to be like, hey, like you said, Dragonflight ends, right? Have this cataclysmic battle, right? Like huge, you got to have, I don't know, they can do whatever they want, really, because they have the server space. 300 people battle or whatever, right?
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because while World of Warcraft does a lot of things better than anybody else, the one thing they cannot do is large-scale open-world battles.
Gotcha.
And I'm talking 40v40. You're talking 300. You're, like, shooting for past the moon into Pluto, which is not even a planet anymore.
Right.
Talking about 300 versus 300. They can barely do 40v40, and it still sucks.
Yeah.
That's the one crutch Blizzard has always had, is that open-world large-scale battles. Terrible. And I'm not alone on this one. You can ask pretty much... Jump in right now and go. And if there's like a large scale PvP battle going on, jump in there. That's all you're going to be doing. And then 5 seconds goes by and the screen hasn't moved. And I'm cranking on like a 3080. So it's not like I'm playing with on a Mac laptop from 1996. I got a pretty updated system. And then 5 seconds later, you're a ghost body, your spirit body.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
But to what you were saying, they're trying to build a 2 in it, because all the other companies are coming in for like a WoW killer.
Yeah. And we've talked about this on the podcast. Like, you've said you've said, like, get group battles, like, make the mechanics the main piece of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because we were talking about the League.
Yeah.
The League of Legends MMO RPG that you brought up. And I said, all you got to do is make your combat smooth, especially your PvP combats. Like, make that smooth. Knock that out first. Like, okay, our combat is better than WoW. It's smoother. Like, everything's functions like it should when there's more than 6 people on the screen. Like, it's great. Get those dirty mechanics all hammered out, and then you're solid. Then you can worry about your story, and don't just release your story at all. Like, you should keep it completely in the dark.
Yep.
Don't let anybody know, because that's part of the magic, is going through the first time and figuring out the story for yourself.
Yep.
Not going online and reading it.
Oh yeah,
or having a trailer.
It's the discovery of it. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me any of the details. I want to discover what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, they could easily make a WoW killer.
Absolutely.
Because WoW's killing itself, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to, cut it too short, but it's been an amazing day. We've been talking all things discoveries and local shops. That's going to be a big thing on our channel, as far as like when we're outside of doing our podcast, and just bring like the community that builds us, you know what I mean? As like what we have access to and stuff like that. And then we're probably going to look into trying to play some games on here. and just kind of have a commentary about that for sure.
Yeah, I just got to find a system that didn't get bought right underneath my nose, and I'm still kicking myself for that Xbox. Yeah, and so if all 4 of our subscribers want to meet us out for a game one day at a bar, like a game bar,
there you go,
Madness or a card shop,
Cidercade, whatever.
Yeah, and ask a question. Anybody, I'll take 1 or 2 would be nice, but even just 1, and we'll answer it for you.
Well,
like and subscribe.
Thank you guys for this week.
Probably not going to.
Yes, but please, like you said, I'm going to ask this time. Please like and subscribe.
There you go.
It will mean the most to us for sure. But we will catch you on the next one. Thank you guys.
Yep. You keep it retro out there. We'll work on that. That wasn't very good. I'm sorry.